Okay, I've just started recording. Are there like extended negative sequences in that episode when they're like going through dimensions, like negative film print?
I don't think so. No,
Oh,
not that I.
I wonder if
Not,
I'm thinking of something else.
pretty sure I've. Like that's one of my favorite episodes. So I've noticed. I know I've watched it several times. I don't remember any negative film
Could be. I mean, it
sections.
could be some other episode where they're going through time or something.
Maybe they have. Maybe it's an effect that they show for like a second or two, like when they're going through the transporter and the transporter malfunctions and they end up in the mirror universe.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's what I'm thinking. Like while they're
that's
being transported through or
okay.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember the specific effect. If there was a
hmm
specific effect, maybe there was like a sort of inversion to be like, look, they're going into a morally inverted universe.
A morally inverted universe. Yeah,
Yeah.
incredible.
I remember reading a novel. There was a novelization of Picard and TNG interacting with the mirror universe. Um, and there's no actual TNG episodes where they go to the mirror universe to deal with the mirror universe. That happens in
No.
DS9.
Yeah,
But
and
in
not
this,
Voyager. I don't think.
yeah, I don't know about
I don't
Voyager.
remember any Voyager episodes in the Mirror Universe.
I don't think so. Yeah.
And in this novel, I think they go to the mirror universe to like do some like espionage or spying or something like that. And I remember one part where Picard is thinking to himself, he's speculating, he's like, where did it go wrong? Where did history change differently here in this universe? And he picks up a book of Shakespeare and he flips through it to look at it, and he decides he wants to look at one of his favorite speeches in Shakespeare, which is in The Merchant of Venice, where one of the characters is trying to convince Shylock, the moneylender, to not cut out a pound of flesh from the person who
Oh,
has um, uh, been unable to satisfy a debt to him.
right. Yep.
And this character gives this speech about mercy is like the gentle rain that doth falleth from heaven upon all creatures, you know. And in this mirror universe, Spock picks up this book of Shakespeare and he reads that speech, and instead the lawyer is like, yep, cut his heart out. Cool. And they cut his
Wow.
heart out on stage, and he's like, oh shit. He's like, okay, so it went wrong somewhere a long time ago.
Wow. Isn't okay, this is we're really off topic because I do want to decide
Yes.
if we're going to
Sorry.
talk about the enemy within, but now I have another question.
Yeah.
Is there not a canon event that leads to the creation of the mirror universe?
I don't know. I know there's a lot of mirror universe stuff that happens like in Discovery, right? Like a whole
Yes.
season.
Yes.
Weren't they gonna make a whole mirror universe like show
Uh
with Michelle, and then they
is
didn't? I don't know.
oh, did they not? I mean, is that what that she is going to be in an upcoming show, but it's based on section 32 from DS9.
Yeah.
If that sounded like English, what I just said.
Yeah. No. Section 32 from DS9. Yeah.
Because,
Um,
yeah, I think
yeah.
that there is a canon event
Intelligence.
that I
Perhaps.
could be wrong. I could be thinking about the Orville.
Again, this is from a novelization, and novelizations are considered
Right.
um,
Quasi canon at best.
yeah, exactly, at best. So anyway, so the enemy within.
Yeah, is
Instead,
that what you want to? Yeah, the real first question is that what you guys want to talk about?
Yes.
sure.
Cool. All right, great. I've definitely seen this one, and you know how I know?
Unicorn dog.
There's a unicorn. There's a dog in it.
You've been going on about this dog for the last several.
Well, I love it. I think
Yeah.
I think one of its rays shows up on Lower Decks.
Yes, it actually does.
Okay.
We've rewatched that episode like last night or the night before. Because as much as I'm watching Star Trek with you, I'm watching so much Star Trek when I'm not able to do the
And
podcast. too.
also TNG. You're watching TNG
Yep.
and Lower Decks back. You know what? I'm watching DS9 and Lower Decks also.
Yeah, no, Chaos
So-
wants to watch Lower Decks, and I've been just wanting to watch TNG. I've almost gotten to Tasha Yar's death.
Oh man.
Spoiler alert.
So you watched the whole second season.
First season. She dies in episode 23 of season 1.
Is it? Wow, is that early? I thought she died.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking it was like midway through second season, but yeah, right near the end of season 1, huh?
Yep.
Or the
Yeah.
end of season 1. Wow.
Yep.
I
So
couldn't believe it.
I'm almost there. And it's gonna suck. But the main thing I'm coming up with, and we'll get to it, I'm sure, when we get to TNG. But like, I'm mostly confused by because I don't remember when Worf and when Geordi switched to yellow jerseys.
I think season 2.
I think it's season 2.
It could be 3 though.
uniforms. They modified uniforms in season 3 to give them the collars.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the main thing. Is I know that they both end up in security and engineering. So, but right now they're both in command. So, yeah.
Kind of like how we have Sulu floating around, and we're not sure what his job is yet.
He's Helm.
Not all the time, and not everything we've seen so far.
True.
Yeah, in the pilot episode, he's the head of the astrophysics department, or like
Oh,
the
is
astro.
that? Mhm.
Yeah, but I guess they revised that to be helmsman. He's really the helmsman. That is what he is, and what he is for the rest of the show. But it was just that in Where No Man Has Gone Before, because that was the pilot.
Well, a pilot.
Yeah, a pilot. The other pilot. Yeah.
So what facts do you have for us about about The Enemy Within, Chris?
So it's been directed by Leo Penn, written by Richard Matheson, and these are both their debut episodes in at least what was in the release order for TV.
Okay.
Original air date is October 6th of 1966 with a 7.6 out of 10 from IMDb.
All right. And yeah, this one has a little dog.
Yep.
I like it a lot, and we're probably going to see some, really, weird Captain Kirk energy, as I recall. But I also recall liking this one, but it could just be because, there's a dog on it. I just watched the Lower Decks episode with the dog the other night. Not the unicorn dog, but the one about the dog.
Oh, yeah, Tendy's dog.
Yeah, Tendy doesn't know what a dog is, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that episode's adorable. I'm going to eventually dye my hair green to do a cosplay of her.
Yeah, we really forgot about the Orions for 50 years, and now they're suddenly here again.
There's an episode with the Orions soon in TNG. I saw it earlier.
Really?
I think so.
Well,
Maybe I'm confusing my shows. I was looking at... Because all I think about is Star Trek nowadays. I was looking at some Star Trek stuff recently, and I might be getting pages confused.
yeah.
But I could have sworn I saw something about a TNG episode I'm going to be running into soon.
If it's in season 1 and 2, I might just have totally forgotten about it. Yeah, so the question of the week, which I think I've answered, is if you could have some pet from Star Trek. Although I kind of like the spiky boar from Quonos. But, yeah. Saint, would you like to have a pet from Star Trek?
If you could genetically engineer Tribble not to
Reproduce?
not to reproduce in a Malthusian manner,
Yeah.
overwhelm whatever ecosystem that is nearby,
Yeah.
then yeah, it would be cool to have like a pet Tribble.
They do make a pleasing noise. I had a Tribble, a toy, that, like, if you threw it at someone or, squeezed it, it would make that Tribble trilling noise.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one.
yeah, Tribbles are cute, man.
Yeah, I was going to say I like the Tribble idea a lot, too. They're adorable if they don't,
Assuming,
overrun
yeah.
everything.
Exactly, assuming.
Yeah. When you first brought that question up to me, what was it, a few weeks ago now?
Yeah.
I think I'd said Spot, Data's
Oh,
cat,
right. Yes, of
specifically.
course.
And if not Spot, Spock's pet from the the animated series, which of course I've forgotten the name of, but it was fuzzy and it was cute and it didn't have a unicorn horn, so.
Was it like a big cat? Is it like a
It was
Vulcan
the
cougar?
bear thing. It was the bear thing.
It was a bear thing.
I sent you the picture of it.
I'm scrolling.
I'm looking it up.
There it is. Oh, it is. Well, it's like a bear kind of with a lion's mane, and it's got a lion's floof on its tail. Chaya was
Yeah,
above
it's a Salot.
above pet Salot. Do you recall
Yeah.
Salots being mentioned? Because
They
whatever
come
the
up
pig
somewhere
thing
else.
is,
I
yeah.
found something recently with them. I don't remember what it was, but I saw something with them that wasn't the animated series.
Okay, yeah. Because also whatever the Quonos pig thing is, that thing gets mentioned all the time. A targ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the targs. Oh yeah, this freaking thing, this lion bear
Yep.
thing. Yeah, it looks like a dopey lion.
Yeah, it was. I've only seen a couple of episodes of the animated series way back. We're talking like when I was like 15, maybe. You know,
Same.
and that was one of the episodes. It was the episode with his pet, and I remember at the time thinking it was adorable as all get out. You know.
When I was young, the animated series was on Nickelodeon. Like, maybe
Yeah.
not Saturday mornings, but like, maybe even just syndicated at the same time every afternoon. I would watch the animated series. I've watched more of the animated series than TOS for sure.
Yeah. See,
Really?
I've only seen like 1 or 2 episodes because years and years ago they had they played it at like midnight or whatever, right? Like late
okay.
at night.
Yep.
And we were doing a celebration for New Year's one year. My friend was visiting, and we were up, way too late because New Year's, and then party is happening still, so we were sleeping over. And we were watching TV, but we were waiting for everything to calm down enough for us to actually go to sleep. Mm-hmm. And they had 2 episodes back to back, and the only thing I clearly remember from it was the Salot, and that Bones looks horrific.
Yeah. I did not like the animated series as a kid
Bones
because
looks horrific.
I had seen
Terrible, like scary. Look at the
Yeah.
picture. Like Bones looks scary in that show.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
and that's that you hit on it. It's not just Bones, like all of the animated characters in it. I guess because I was used to watching the regular show, TOS show, just looked freaky and weird to me, and their voices
Yeah.
were off because it was not the same actors.
A lot of them were.
They had some of them were different though. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
So
I don't remember well enough to say on that one.
Yeah.
I'd
There's
have
a
to
little bit of
double-check.
each. Some I don't know if they got Shatner, but I think they got Nimoy. So
Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
you're right.
something like that.
But
Like they had some of them.
it threw me off. It threw me off, and I was like, this
Sure.
is it hit Uncanny Valley territory for me, I guess.
They had weird empty eyes.
It looks like they got most of the majors as I'm doing a quick Google search.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scotty's in it, Nurse Chapel, Uhura, Sulu, McCoy, Spock, and Kirk.
Oh wow.
Oh Jesus! I must have been wrong. It is pretty much everybody.
The only one I think that's missing is Chekhov of the main core.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well,
And that's just the quick Google page, like the AI. I haven't looked at the actual cast list for the whole show yet on IMDb or anything. So, yeah, they even got Sarek. They got Mark Leonard on it.
nice.
Wow.
That guy's in Balance of Terror. He's one of the Romulans. The actor is in Balance of
Yeah.
Terror. Yeah.
No, he was in a couple of the series as different characters, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like,
Sounds right.
I don't think it was just Sarek. I think he had like 3 or 4 different characters he ended up playing across all of them.
That's
I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't.
Tim,
Yeah, I
Tim
can't.
Russ
I can't
had multiple
name-
Star Trek characters.
A lot of them did. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Duncan McNeil had a couple of them.
He
Like,
sure did.
So it's not like it's uncommon for them to play in different series, right? So
Oh yeah. I mean, I told you. I was talking to you about Jeff Combs, right? I mean, you may not. That name might not mean anything to you, but he at one point he held the record for playing the most different roles across Star Trek TV shows.
Oh yeah, Jeffrey Combs.
Wayun.
Yeah, no, as soon as I look at his face, I recognize him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. Nice.
Well, anyway, shall we take a look at The Enemy Within?
Let's.
All right, here it is. Hi. Welcome back to The Least Ready Room, a podcast where someday, perhaps, I will I will remember to not eat a full meal while recording this goddamn thing. I don't know how much you can tell. I can tell now after listening to myself over and over again for hours and hours for the past year or so. I was definitely eating something in the beginning. I mean, sometimes it's the end of the day, and, we do say, basically anything that goes weird or wrong, it's because we were so tired at the end of such a long day, which is... We do get very sleepy around here. Anyway, this is a very exciting episode because for the first time, Saint is here all the way for the whole thing. It's me, Chris, and Saint. I'm Dave, by the way. This is The Least Ready Room, a podcast where Dave and Chris watch every episode of Star Trek available. And this is like the 5th one. And today, Saint is here not as a guest, but as a full participating member of our complete breakdown of this episode, The Enemy Within, which I believe is the 5th. Boy. Let's say, I'll come back. We'll do a retraction. This might be the 5th in broadcast order. And here's Dave and Chris and Saint. Make some nachos. Little cats. Yes, Paprika. Yes, Paprika.
Look, he just wants more cheese, okay?
They're all on a diet now. Did I tell you
Oh,
that?
yeah? No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The veterinarian had to shave Cora's butt because she's too fat and she can't lick her own ass.
Is that what the reason was?
Yes.
That's impressive. Well done, Cora.
She's on a diet.
She can't be happy about that.
She's not happy about that. She's going to be less happy if I have to shave her ass. So there was an alternate question of the week, which had to do with your favorite story involving a time or a transporter accident. And I have 3 examples, 2 of which came up, obviously it didn't specifically come up in this episode, but I can think of 2 episodes that may have specifically been inspired by this one. And, we'll get there in the end of this episode, but we mentioned Tuvix and how Tuvix wants to live. And by the way, Tuvix may very well be our first non-TOS bonus episode. I already have Tuvix content recorded.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you'd already gone ahead with that one.
Oh, but no, that's what I was saying when I was asking you about doing bonus episodes. It's because I have like a year-old conversation about Tuvix that I have on like in the chest or whatever.
We should definitely get that going then for you so you can actually put it out there.
But yeah, let's do it. Let's have and that might be a homeworky one. Like I'll tell people, watch this episode and then come talk to me for the 5 questions kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did not end up being exactly that, but Tuvix is going to be our first bonus episode. That's going to be next week's episode. And if you do want to talk to me about Tuvix or do the 5 questions or talk to me about Star Trek or anything else, you can get at me on Discord. And if I end up talking to anyone else about Tuvix this coming week, it'll end up in the episode on Sunday. These should be out on Sunday. This one's coming out on Monday. You know how it is. But yeah. First bonus episode, first non-TOS episode of this podcast is the next one, and it's going to be about the Voyager episode Tuvix, which is a horror show. But what I thought of first in the beginning of this episode was the incident with Will Riker and is it Tom?
Yeah, Thomas Riker.
Thomas Riker. Thomas wasn't an evil Riker, though. And they were able to live also, so...
Yeah.
Pretty different.
I mean, they did the same thing, and they referenced the Thomas Riker thing in Lower Decks. With
it happens to
Boimler,
Boimler, yeah.
Yeah, but his clone, quote-unquote, spoiler alert, quote-unquote, is killed and then joins, section...
Oh, right. Is it section 32?
I feel like it was section 31? Isn't it section 31?
How many sections do they have? At least 32, I guess.
Yeah,
guess.
I'm not actually sure which one is the top secret spy guys from with the Shawshank guy in DS9.
With the black with the black comm badges.
Isn't there another section too that's like the time travel section? That's like we're here to save the timeline. That the time cops.
Yeah, are they a section number?
I didn't think they were Starfleet. I thought that was a separate organization that Janeway ends up running into in Voyager. Or am I mistaking the one you're talking about?
Those are the guys.
I do not know.
But I don't know if they're like, I don't know if there's like a temporal time cop organization in the future, or if it's just future Starfleet that has a temporal like branch.
It might be. I'm thinking that there's something happens in a TNG episode where they meet some future Starfleet people.
Yep.
Where they meet some people that are being chased, and they're like the 28th century Starfleet time cops are after us, or something like that. And that's all I'm thinking of. That might be.
Yeah, and see, I think those 28th century time cops are the ones that Janeway runs into as well.
Okay.
Like I think it's
Yes.
still the 28th
Yes.
century time cops. It's
Yes.
just not for
Right.
refugees.
They also get mad at
26 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they get
We
mad
haven't
at
gotten that
Cisco.
far in the rewatch. I can't remember.
They get mad at Cisco for going back in time and fucking with the Tribbles. The
They
same
just
cops.
get mad at all of them.
They're mad. They get mad. Yeah, they're the guys that show up when there's a time travel episode.
Yeah. They hate time travel.
They hate it.
And I mean,
I get it.
It's bad.
like, dude, it's
It
so
fucks things up.
confusing.
Yeah.
If you are gonna fuck with causality, it just gets so confusing and bad.
Yeah, maybe don't.
Yeah, maybe.
Have you tried not traveling through time?
They gave Kirk and Spock a pass when they went and got the whales because they're like, okay, just grab some whales.
Yeah,
it's fine.
that's fine.
You,
Whales
And
aren't good.
they kind of saved the world too.
you saved the Earth. You brought the whales back. The whales were extinct, and now there's some whales again on Earth. I guess cool.
And now a weird space probe is not going to destroy us with hurricanes.
Yeah,
Just maybe don't do that again.
yeah, but please.
Yeah, but please stop going back in time by slingshotting around the sun.
Yeah.
And having a very strange, maybe computer generated, maybe not sequence of your frozen faces flying out of milk or something while you travel through time.
I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to there. Sorry.
Well, we'll end up watching The Voyage Home and I'll point it out.
Oh man,
It's weird imagery while they time travel that I'm talking about. Weird leftover shit from the motion picture, probably.
I'm trying to think.
remembering what you're talking about. Yeah, that's right. During the time, one of the time travel sequences that they throw like some weird effects, like one you guys were talking about in the cage when they go to warp.
Oh
and they
yeah,
have all,
yeah.
like, the lights
going through the bridge.
It's very in-setting for Star Trek to occasionally have some kind of special effect that's just
Weird trippy effect while we travel through
It's
hyperspace.
just super LSD.
Yep.
Look, we got to keep it interesting, and if we don't do random weird LSD trips, then it's going to be boring.
Yeah.
I love this show.
I love it so much, yeah. Yeah, if I had a favorite transporter accident, I guess it would probably be Mirror Mirror when they go to the Mirror Universe for the first time.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
another
transporter
transfer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, it's a bit of a repeat of this one in certain ways. It's like Transporter and the evil version and stuff. But I mean, it's obviously
really. Yeah, the evil version. Yeah.
I mean, in very broad strokes, obviously it plays
Well,
out
that's
quite
the-
differently. There's a whole evil
The whole
universe
universe. Yeah.
of evil people being evil.
Evil people with emo. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but this episode reminded me of that, and it's interesting, thinking about transporter stuff because it is my understanding that the reason transporters were created for this show is because they originally wanted to have something where they could hop in shuttles and fly up and down from the planets, and then they were like, "Oh, we can't afford
do that." Yeah, I've heard this anecdote.
Yeah, but and then just inventing this whole concept and just like, but having nobody question it, and it just like has all these implications that later writers either use as plot devices or have to write around. Like, why can't we get down to the plant? Transport is broken. Those guys are gonna freeze.
I would never fucking teleport. I mean, yeah, but really, a convenience for the writers that then opened up this can of worms of what could go wrong.
is this killing you every time you get in it?
That's
and
the big question.
Creating a
That is the implication, and that's kind of what I've always understood it as. Like it fully, and I think that is actually a philosophical question about with Jason and the Argonauts ship, right? Where if you change out every board of the ship, is it really?
That's the
still...
guy that killed the Minotaur.
If it converts you into energy, but that piece of energy or that packet of energy is maintained in a sort of coherent form, as it kind of
in the buffer.
In the buffer, like it kind of implies that it needs to.
Yeah.
You can't just sort of arbitrarily like save parts of it and then put people back together or something like that. It has to like go all in a single package, and if the package just gets corrupted, like the transporter, bad stuff happens. But I don't know. You can make that argument. Like, how is it any different from like going to sleep when
Yeah, I mean that's
like,
the truth. We all might if you think about it for long enough.
Yeah, the continuity.
We've all died a billion times.
Yeah, sort of the continuity of consciousness experience kind of thing.
I don't know. I think it's a little bit more concrete than that. You are literally destroying this person to be able to send, like, put them back together. Like, it's not, the person is no longer existing as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely more of a question there when you're talking about like actually taking apart somebody's physical body. But
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, well, I'll tell you what. I feel like the characters in these shows believe that their consciousness is preserved in the buffer.
Yep.
I think you have to believe that in order to use it.
Yeah.
I for sure would never use the buffer if I was in this world.
They all seem to buy into it. I mean, I don't know if the really very super smart engineers who invented Transporter assure everybody that, like, no, it's still really you.
They're 4 times redundant.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I've seen enough Star Trek to know how many accidents happen with this stuff, though. Like, I don't trust it.
Yeah, but it's like,
you cannot make me trust it.
When 2 copies of the same guy come out, that really throws a wrench into believing that this thing works the way you say it does.
But it's like plane crashes, right? It's like it happen, but then it's like you don't talk about the million times that like it worked just fine and nobody got duplicated with an evil twin or like teleported into the side of a mountain.
Yeah, but I'm still afraid of flying, so...
Right. So fair. So is fair. Do you have an answer, Toronto?
For my favorite transporter accident?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about it before with the Scotty one. Where his buddy
the guy that disintegrates in the buffer. Yep. Right.
Yeah, I love that. I love that one. Tuvix obviously is a classic. Because it's just fun. I liked the Tuvix one as well, where I felt like the mirror universe. Well, I felt like the mirror universe and good bad trope had been overplayed by the time they got to Tuvix. So it was a nice fresh take on a very similar problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen that, but I assume it's basically the same thing with Tuvok, but instead of like good and evil, it's like
no. So Tuvok and Neelix end up getting merged into one body.
Yeah, it's 2 characters end up getting put into one, and the new guy is like, well, this is me now. I'm cool. Yeah,
he's got his own consciousness, and Janeway has to make a decision of either allowing the new guy Tuvix to survive or killing Tuvix to bring back both Neelix and Tuvok. Like, does she kill Tuvok and Neelix, or does she kill Tuvix?
Tuvix very clearly has an opinion.
Yes.
Tuvix has a strong opinion about it, yeah.
He obviously does not want to die, yeah.
And guess what?
There's a back.
I mean, Janeway's a beast on that sort of stuff in general, so it's not a surprise, right?
Yeah.
That's a real Janeway move.
Yeah. It is. And it comes up again in Lower Decks, where... the same sort of a transport accident happens with a couple of the people off the ship, and then they have to decide what to do with it, and the people on the ship were like, well, we're just going to make more of us, and that ends up having more and more of them end up getting shoved into one body rather than having like a bunch of just merges. It's like one giant merge because of more problems, and then they're finally like, oh, well, I don't care about killing that now. That's just
that was just a blob of flesh.
Yeah.
Which is what I always thought Tuvix should have done. I think because what happens, the mechanics of it is that there's an orchid, and the orchid has a special DNA that if you transport with the orchid, everyone who transports goes into one body. And I think the original on the Voyager episode, Tuvix should have when he realized what was happening, he should have gotten some of those orchids and just get more people inside of himself until the whole ship was one ship. Until there's one guy at the helm going, "I am Voyager."
I think personally that I like that they didn't quite go that much. I would have liked it instead if Tuvix had have just done what they were starting to do in Lower Decks, rather than everyone becoming one big blob, having
Recruit
a
more
bunch of
double
duplicates.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, the duplicate's a bad word, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah,
I really think that would have been the better option, personally. The Tuvix episode, Voyager tackled some really big, very dark themes that were like seriously challenging, almost philosophical issues a lot. And I think they did a good job with that too. Like they had that one. They had I've brought it up before, the Cardassian episode where B'Elanna Torres is injured, and the only way to save her is by using Cardassian doctor knowledge from the Dominion War that was obtained similarly to Section 731 from Japan, or what the Nazis were doing to Jewish prisoners, where it was just very clearly war crime. Stop, live human experimentation. Why are you doing this awful stuff? But also,
now that we had the results,
Right.
what do we do with it? Yeah.
and we didn't do it. Should we? Is it still ethical to use the knowledge gained this way?
Exactly.
Yep.
And Voyager covered a lot of stuff in that vein throughout the whole show, and I loved it.
It wouldn't be Star Trek if it didn't, really.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Voyager hit the big topics in a lot of good ways, and I feel like it's an underrated show. I don't think it gets the kind of credit or recognition it deserves, honestly.
I think it might. I think that may have changed. I think people are more aware of the fact that Voyager was actually great
I feel like
these days.
too. I feel like Voyager is a show that is like appreciated a lot more in retrospect by a lot of people.
Yeah, and that
so.
might be. I just haven't really encountered a lot of people to talk about Star Trek with, outside of obviously the couple of people here, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, if you haven't seen it, I do recommend Voyager. We'll get there eventually, but honestly, if you have access to it, go watch it now. It's fantastic.
I don't, but I might. Yeah,
We will
I do
eventually.
remember- I do remember seeing at least like probably 10 or 15 episodes out of the first season, and of course everyone's like, "Oh, the
Yeah.
first season of Star Trek is never good."
Weird.
of any Star
Yeah.
Trek
Why
show.
is that a rule?
I don't
It's
know.
because every show, at least from my experience, every show's first season
They gotta
is
figure out
usually
what they're
weak because
doing.
and the cast never feels like they are a crew until like they've actually done a season and gotten to know each other.
Until season 3 somehow. I honestly, I
Or-
think that might not be the case with Strange New Worlds.
Or some shows have a good first season, but even shows that have like a
Right.
good solid first season always
The
have a
second
better
season is
Lower Decks
better.
fucks
season.
it.
because of the exact reason that you said, because
Okay.
one's getting into it.
Yeah, Lower Decks is the only one that I think in my opinion, from what I've seen, that started off strong and has not dropped once. Like they have consistently turned out. Even the quote unquote weaker episodes are all like 9s and 10s for me. Like every episode is just a banger of Lower Decks.
Maybe I should watch Lower Decks.
You should.
That is like 100%. I mean, if you like to watch Futurama, like you should be watching.
Yeah,
Lower
if you,
Decks.
if you like Futurama and Star Trek both, Lower Decks is those two shows put together as one show.
All right, I'm sold.
All right. My answer, which I know I've mentioned a bunch of things so far, but motion picture notwithstanding, if you recall the line from the motion picture, what we received didn't live long, thankfully. It's something like that. But that's not my answer. My answer is there's an episode of DS9 where everyone gets stuck in the buffer. Not everybody. Not Garrick and Bashir, I don't think. But Garrick and Bashir happen to be playing James Bond in the holodeck. And so since they can't materialize them, their personalities are stuck in the buffer, they have to be stuck. They become NPCs in the James Bond game. But if any of them die, they'll die for real. So Garrick and Bashir have to James Bond around and make sure that the NPCs live.
Dude, I can't wait till we get to DS9. I have not seen that episode. That sounds awesome.
I haven't seen that either. That sounds
Yeah,
cool.
instead of doing like Sherlock Holmes and like 1940s detective stories, they do some James Bond shit and
Bashir and Garrick, of course,
Yeah.
they're fucking doing James Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
What else would they be
fucking
doing?
great. So the enemy within, a guy covered in. They actually say something about that he's covered in like a yellow ore, but I don't think they say that causes the teleporter disruption. Or
No, they do. They do.
Oh, they
They
do?
do. They do later on.
It
Yeah.
says the ore had unusual properties, and it caused the transporter to overload.
oh, and that's why it burnt out and blew a hole in the wall.
No,
Well-
the hole in the wall is from Evo Kirk shooting the wall.
Yeah.
Oh,
It burnt out so that they had to fix it, and then in the process of fixing it, they determined what the issue was and why Kirk got split in the first place.
okay.
But they were working to fix it, and then Evil Kirk, did the shooty thingy afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he kind of fired off a shot when Good Kirk grabbed him. And,
Right. Okay.
his phaser blast coincidentally and very unluckily blew a hole in the transporter power systems, which were down there in the engineering section.
Well, that's probably where they would be.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. But so right out of the gate, this one goes off. So the guy with the mustard, the guy covered in mustard gets teleported up, but he doesn't seem to have a double. Maybe it just that burnt out that started
Yeah.
the problem.
Exactly. The dog goes, and then Kirk comes up right after him, and Kirk is the first
Yes.
thing split, and then
Right.
the dog splits after that, and that's when they notice it because nobody notices Kirk's double leave.
We do.
Well,
right away.
Scotty couldn't be asked to stay at his post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for some reason Kirk is like, keep an eye on that transporter, and Scotty's like, nah, let me walk you out to the sick bay. And that's why evil Kirk is able to sneak on, and immediately that the lighting, we know he's evil. His posture,
His emo makeup.
he's got this face, and he's being lit from below, and he's twitching his mouth like Agent
looks like a
Cooper, like I
goblin.
was talking about.
It's like you said, he looks like a goblin.
He does. He assumes a complete goblin posture, and he's lit
It's
in
goblin
such
mode.
a dramatic goblin lighting.
Yeah, it's goblin mode, Kirk.
Fully. Did this episode invent goblin mode? It invented the Vulcan neck pinch.
He's like, give me the brandy, give me the rape, and
Oh boy.
let's go. Yeah, that was very rough. Poor Yeoman Rand, man. I don't really remember Yeoman Rand doing a whole heck of a lot in this series, to be perfectly honest. I really hope she's more than just like,
Someone
She's
to
a
get
glorified
assaulted.
secretary in a lot of ways.
I'm here to get rescued a whole bunch of times.
They make
Yeah.
it clear she's basically a glorified secretary. The Yeoman's job is to bring food, drink, and like paperwork around the ship, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's basically a secretary waitress who just gets all of the negative that goes with that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she doesn't do anything cool through most of the series.
I don't think she does, no.
No.
Which it sucks because like she feels like a character who could have been a thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. She could, yeah. Because
Yeah,
it's
I
not like
guess-
she's not in the show, like, because she is, but
Yeah.
she's mostly like she definitely. It's really unfortunate because I really think it's like the '60s, like
Right.
Like,
She's
let's throw in a hot girl in the background.
or mechanically, let's throw in a damsel to be assaulted.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is what I asked during if that was what the character's role was. If
Yeah.
she's there to get assaulted when we need to show that someone's really bad.
yeah. I mean,
Which this was a really bad one. She
Yeah.
got assaulted.
Uhura does get to do a little bit more, but
Man, I feel like we haven't seen her in a couple.
Yeah, no,
No.
we haven't. She's not been in the last few episodes.
she's not in every episode. I mean, it's kind of like the way
A lot of them aren't.
sometimes we talk about it. It's just, sometimes, except for like the main, like three, Spock, Kirk, and McCoy, they're pretty much in every episode. And then
Yeah.
you'll have everybody else who will be in most episodes, but not necessarily every episode, Like there's some episodes with no Sulu, or some episodes
sure.
with
Yeah.
or
We haven't hit Chekhov at all yet.
yeah, I forget when Chekhov shows up. He shows up sometime through the first or second season. But yeah, and I mean that was the way with TNG too. I think there were times when you wouldn't see Troy, or you wouldn't see Tasha or something.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't see Tasha for a whole 6 seasons, right? So.
Well, that's not totally true.
No.
No, true.
She hangs out. She's in the whole
Yeah,
show.
you're right.
She's
You're
there.
right. She does come back.
After she's like, write me out of this show. I don't want to be in this show. And then like a couple seasons later, she's like, fuck, bring me
Fuck, the
back.
show got popular.
I can't get any
Yeah.
jobs, and this paid the bills. Please help.
Yeah, please do. And they're like, fine, we'll bring you back. We'll bring back alternate universe version of you, and then you'll bring back evil daughter version of
Yeah.
you. Stick some Romulan makeup on you. You want to be a Romulan? Cool.
Yeah, they do a lot of.
She was good as the evil Romulan daughter, though.
She was honestly just good overall.
No, that's right. Hell, man, she was good in first season too.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a little bit of. I may only be thinking about Brent Spiner, but there's definitely a Star Trek thing where all of your ancestors or children or parents or whatever just are played by the same actor and look exactly like you.
Oh yeah, Worf.
Oh, Warp does well. Oh, are you talking about the Undiscovered Country?
Yeah, he plays.
Yeah, because
Like
that's a different
older-
Worf.
Yeah, it's like his ancestor who was a lawyer. but
Right.
it's
Yeah,
also-
yeah.
But it's just Michael Dorn.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. So that's a great example. Yeah. Because that is a different character. Yeah, called Worf, but also being Michael Dorn.
Yeah.
I've actually not seen that one.
Oh, we will. I mean, that's. I guess after the animated series, we'll tackle those movies. Which that's one
Actually-
of my favorite parts.
If we're doing release order,
Okay.
if we're doing release order, after animated series, we get 4 of the movies. If I remember correctly, 4 of the movies, and then TNG hits.
Ooh.
So,
Oh, yes.
Star Trek 5 is near the end of season 2 of TNG, and Star Trek 6 is actually midway through season 5.
Yeah, and that's why they had Worf, obviously.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What does God need with a starship?
And then the other ones are all like between everything else, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of the movies are just in the middle of random seasons. So
Shatner made them let him direct 5 because Nimoy got to direct 4.
I want my turn. It's not fair.
So
Who directed 6?
I don't know. Probably neither of them. Probably Jonathan Frakes. Probably not. But Jonathan Frakes is when Jonathan Frakes is directing. I think he's great.
I think with the first 2 things he directed, I wasn't like super. I wasn't
6
like
was
super,
Nicholas Meyer.
Okay.
Okay, never heard
I-
of it.
Yeah.
I also have not.
Doesn't sound familiar. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think Frakes was that good of a director at first, but he got a lot better.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure of his, exactly what any of his first stuff or more recent stuff is, but I know that
Maybe like
Nicholas Meyer also directed Star Trek 2.
oh well, Star Trek 2 and 6 are some of the best ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's why-
those two might be the best ones.
that's why they brought it back. They're like, bring back the con magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a lot. He does a lot of more writing based on his IMDb, up to and including the Prince of Egypt movie from '98. He wrote that.
Oh, weird. Wow, I kind of wow. I have that one very confused with that llama movie. the guy
yeah,
gets
The
cursed.
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
the same kind of time.
But no,
And in two ways.
this guy wrote Wrath of Khan, Voyage Home, Undiscovered Country, and he directed
Wow, he wrote
Khan and
Voyage Home.
Undiscovered.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Good guy. Yeah, good guy. Man, those movies really, that's like my real true the beginnings of my Star Trek roots. I know I said I watched the animated series a lot, but those really the 3 movies, 2, 3 and 4 were
He's also a
instrumental.
producer. He's also a producer on Discovery.
Okay.
Great,
Alright, so
good
he's-
for him.
Yeah.
so he's-
That's
he's a
awesome.
Star-
I'm glad he's still doing it.
Yeah. So he made the Star Trek movies good, basically. Then
Yeah.
he made
Yeah.
all the good ones.
Yeah, thank you to what is his name?
Nicholas Meyer.
Nicholas
Nicholas
Meyer.
Meyer.
Damn, an unsung Star Trek hero.
Yeah.
Those really 2 and 6 are the best ones.
Probably, yeah. Four,
But-
I mean, 4 is good, but it did its own weird thing. 3
Yeah.
was still 3. I know 3 was kind of weird, but like
Yeah,
I
it
love
was.
3.
Yeah.
3 was still pretty good.
2,
I
3, and
love
4
3.
were on heavy repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen one, and I found one to be unwatchable. Honestly, I
Yeah.
did not enjoy it at all. It was just
That's-
boring and weird,
Yeah.
and nope. And the mini skirts that were basically just a shirt. Nope.
Yeah, they were so bad. They were not good. No, 1 was not good. It was like
That other movie made a lot of money.
did it come out? Did it come out before 2001?
No, it came out immediately afterwards because 2001 came out.
I was gonna say because it looks like it was trying to rip off
It was
2001.
an absolute response to 2001, and they did not land it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I talk about V'ger all the time. I love V'ger as a character.
Vigor.
Yeah, V'ger.
Vigor. Yeah. Yeah, I liked how they were like, no, we definitely kept sending out Voyager probes. We didn't stop after 2.
Yeah.
11 years.
Oh.
2001 came out in 68. Star Trek 1 came out in 79.
Okay, so maybe not immediately, as I said. I might have been a little bit off.
Just a week.
Just a bit.
Oh, bless or be blessed in whatever manner.
Excuse me.
Robitussin. There's that shitty commercial we get where someone's coughing and instead of saying like "bless you," it's Robitussin.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah.
We get. I don't know if that's in the States at all.
No,
but
I
it's
don't
here.
think so. I don't think you're allowed to advertise Robitussin or any kind of pseudoephedrine kind of thing.
Really? Because you guys advertise a lot more medication in the States than we have here.
Yeah, but you can make meth out of Robitussin, so they don't advertise it anymore.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I see. I think I see more advertisement for prescription medicines, which is weird because
Yeah, we don't get
the doctor
the only
recommends it.
the only prescription medication commercials I've ever seen are literally American ones being played like because we have American
It's
channels
so
up here,
weird
right?
that that's something that they advertise at all.
It is weird.
Yeah.
It is.
I've never seen one for a medical condition that I have that I then go to the doctor and say, "Hey, I saw a commercial for Tridabibabatol for my fucking leg." Yeah. Anyway, there's a little bit of interior monologue I really like from Kirk in this episode when he's realizing that he has to that he's not a whole man and some part of him has been lost before they capture the evil one. And in fact, there's a lot of cool philosophizing from Spock as well. This is a kind of there's some heavy ideas and concepts getting thrown around about the dual nature of man.
Right. It's the whole like tracking the evil Kirk as he stalks through the ship doesn't actually like fill the whole balance of the episode.
No.
They catch him like halfway through,
Yeah.
and then they're trying to figure out what the hell to do with him.
Yeah, as Good Kirk is having a meltdown and they're both slowly dying, and Good Kirk is paralyzed with indecision.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sulu and the crew on the planet cannot beam up because they don't want them to split into pieces, although you suggested a solution.
Just have some guys there with some phasers set to stun and stun everybody as soon as they come up and stuff them all in the brig.
I mean, it would do the job.
Like 30 seconds to figure out which one is good and which one is evil.
Yeah, which
I mean,
one goes
especially
into
with the
goblin
makeup.
mode? Yeah, which one comes up with makeup?
Who looks like they're in their emo phase? Evil.
Probably the good guy comes first.
Yeah,
It
and
seems-
that's how it seems to work. It seems like the evil one comes like 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
So, and then after you've got everybody up from the surface, you're not worried about anybody freezing to death, and you can take all the time you like to figure out the transporter shit.
So
that whole bit with them freezing. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like I know we were talking about it a bunch while we were watching it too, but like,
it's a lot like.
oh my god, that pisses me off
Yep.
so much.
Do you remember when I told you about Dragon Ball Z and how the planet is going to explode for like 5 episodes?
And then it took like forever more. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that
no,
was
yeah.
that. That was that.
It's
Like,
that's what's happening here. Yeah.
I was looking it up, and like at the end of it, they're at negative 117. I'm assuming Fahrenheit because it is an American show.
And that's not even the last time he checks in. He checks in again, and he can't even read what temperature it is. But
yeah,
that's
and
cold.
like I was looking it up, and it's
very
like
cold.
at negative 70, which was less cold than the time
Yep.
before that. They're looking at 2-minute exposure. There's no way that heating up rocks. There's no way rock heating up is gonna
Right. That's how they're
keep
staying
people
alive.
I just
The
no.
guys that are freezing to death on the planet are they've got some hot rocks.
And like I get that this is a small thing and it shouldn't bug me. I
it's
do
very-
understand that.
No, 117 below zero is deranged. That's a crazy thing for someone to say. To say it is 117 degrees below zero where I am right now. I don't think you could physically move your mouth to say that.
You guys have never played Frostpunk?
No, I've
I
not,
have.
no.
I have, and my people die because it hits negative 117.
Wow. Oh dear.
And I think it gets cold. I don't know how cold it gets
I
though.
think it gets down to minus 100. I think it's the lowest, or maybe minus 120 during
Yeah, it's something in that range.
That's goddamn cold.
Yeah.
It's stupid cold. It never gets warmer than like minus 40.
I think at the start you start at like negative 20.
Yeah, you start at negative 20, and it goes down to negative 30 after a day or two, and then it goes down to negative 40 after another day or two, and it never gets warmer than negative 40 ever again.
Yeah, no, it's basically the whole premise is post-apocalyptic nuclear winter. You're all freezing, and founding a new town that you got to build from nothing.
You gotta
Yeah,
get
it's
on
very-
a train run by Oompa Loompas.
You got a steampunk like gigantic furnace in the center of like a circular
Yeah.
town.
It's really
it's a-
cool.
It's a city builder / survival game. I liked it a lot. I really like the aesthetic.
I had the issue of I can't play it too much because once I start playing it, I don't play anything else. And so I was losing too much of my time to it.
Oh yeah. After a while, I got bored of the survival aspect too, so I would just kind of set it on easy and like
Yeah.
build a cool looking city.
Yeah, I've done that
Cool.
before too. Because
Yeah, I love that
it's sometimes you just want to be able to have it in like free play kind of thing, and do whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good game. If you haven't played it, I do recommend it. It's a little bit of a learning curve. Like the first couple rounds of it are going to be hard, but it's a fun little game.
You definitely get a bunch of people killed
A lot of
Yeah.
systems.
first few times. It's not even all that many. It's fairly standard for a city builder, really. But it's good. I enjoyed it for a while. There's a sequel coming out eventually, I heard.
Yeah, I heard there's going to be a Frostpunk 2, but I don't know when it's going to get released.
Yeah, there's no release date right now. So, who knows? Anyway, yeah, no, it's true. Even with hot rocks, 120 degrees below zero is stupid cold. Those guys didn't have like any shelter. It would be one thing if like they had some shelter, if they were like, we built an igloo, we got some shelter, we got some rocks, we got
Yeah.
warm clothes that we beamed down to them. It's like they tried to beam down some thermal units and the thermal units stopped working. Okay, beam down some fucking coats.
No, the fucking all they had is that stupid parachute, and it just was not enough.
They had a slice of a parachute.
Yeah.
Release date is sometime this year for Frostpunk 2.
Okay. That's pretty vague. I'll believe it when it comes out.
Yeah, but
I mean,
that's like an off there.
I think it's an indie company making that. It's not like a big development studio making the Frostpunk games.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So when they do capture Evil Kirk, we get the very first instance of the Vulcan neck pinch
yeah,
from Mr. Spock. Knocks the guy right out.
yeah, because Leonard Nimoy thought it was out of character for Spock to shoot Evil Kirk in the back of the head with a stun phaser, which is apparently what they were supposed to do in the first place.
You know what though? He's not wrong. Like I feel like it would have been weird. It really would have.
Yeah, and the Vulcan neck pinch obviously is so iconic
Yeah.
of Spock, and it's
A
and
big
it's
part of the Vulcan lore now.
a big part of the Vulcan lore. The whole idea is like they don't fight the way that all of these the other people in the show fight with like the overhand double fists.
Oh yeah, yeah. They love that move in this show. Yeah.
And like the big uppercuts and they don't throw like
The
Spock is like
stage fighting, big
Yeah,
stage
stage
combat
fighting.
moves.
They're
Yeah.
too civilized for it.
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Spock is like, please, I would never throw hands.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
We gave that shit up thousands of years ago. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a wonderful choice by Leonard Nimoy, to which much is owed.
Yeah.
I think every one of the influences he had on it has just it stood the test,
Yeah.
like on his character and what happened from them. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's fascinated by the whole like split between like good and
Oh
evil.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Negative between Kirk
Spock
and
Spock is
and
amazed by what's going on.
yeah, and he's like, wow, this is so fascinating, and he's like, and it's so amazing that you guys obviously need each other to exist.
Yep.
The rational needs some kind of like will, some kind of urge pushing at it, but that urge also needs to be tempered by compassion and rationality and logic and intelligence. So
Yeah.
it's the whole simplistic like good evil split, like bestial rational split it's obviously kind of silly and simplistic when you think about it too much, but it works for the show.
He's
Agreed.
kind of, yeah, agreed, yeah. Spock is kind of saying to Kirk, he's kind of musing, wow, you guys really are just weird little goblins, aren't you?
You humans are just weird looking, but
Yeah,
he says he's like, I'm half human, and I think this might be the first time he says I'm half human. I don't know.
I don't think it's come up yet, but it comes up a few times over the show, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, we talked about how he mentions an ancestor. I think he has mentioned that his mother was human.
I think what's happened to
At this
date
point
has
in the
been he's
release order.
mentioned. I think he's mentioned at this point that he's got human heritage, but not specifically who it was.
Right, okay, yeah.
I think this episode specifically, he said it. Maybe he didn't say my mother. I don't know. Maybe
He said half human.
No, he said he was half human, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
He was half human. I'm pretty sure he used that exact word. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, but at this point, we haven't specified if it's mom or dad. Is what I'm saying.
Right. But obviously, we all know that it's his mother, and I think they might have. I think there's probably a good chance that like the writers and or Leonard Nimoy or whatever, they're like, okay, well, this is the background information, just hasn't come out yet in any particular episode because
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But no, he's dealing with that whole. I'm not you're not able to be separated, and that's weird, and you're fascinating as seriously human. His whole point of really being on the ship is to try and analyze humans and like learn more about humanity for the Vulcans.
Yeah. And it's interesting that we see him getting so fascinated by this dual aspect that maybe Vulcans don't have, or maybe they have completely suppressed their beasts and put them away in the closet.
Yeah, or I don't know. They deal with it in a very different way, and I think the whole Vulcan lore of like their pure logic and no emotion thing is, obviously gets more complicated and nuanced and so forth as the show goes on. They haven't really explained it yet so much. He's just like he's just an alien.
I mean we're really 5 episodes in.
He's just an alien. He acts different.
Yep. Yeah, really. There was a lot of I'm sure a lot of things were written down about all of these characters at this point, and I'm sure about half of them got thrown out. So like I feel like there's going to be stuff we're going to see, like just like the fact that at first it was an ancestor of mine was human, I feel like a lot of it is there, but they're sharpening it out kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
I think to a degree they're also still figuring it out as they go. Like I don't know if they've definitely had it fully developed as to who it was at the start of the show. I feel like that was something that might have been. We want you to be not all human, but not all not human either, and then figuring that out as they go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure it was. A lot of it was just made up as they went along, as you say. I think a lot of these shows are like that, and it's partly it's
more organic.
It
ends up feeling more natural if you let it kind of let the character figure out who they are.
It's a very different kind of writing than a show like a lot of modern TV shows where you they have the whole plot arc
Yeah.
plotted out. They're like, we're going to write this show and it's going to be 3 seasons long, and this is going to happen in the first season, and then this is going to happen in the second season, and then this is going to happen in the third season, and then the show is going to be and then the show is going to end.
Right.
These
Well,
people
yeah.
these people will be dead. These people will have risen to power. These people, this will have happened to this guy. That will have happened to this girl. And they might change it as they go along, because they
Sure.
say like, oh, this person, in this particular role that was supposed to be minor is such a big hit, and everyone loves him, and we love him, and you think he can do so much more. So we're gonna expand this role, or vice versa, other direction, whatever. That'll happen, but still, like, the overall arc of the story is probably going to be there.
Yeah, and there's positives and minuses to both of those.
Yeah.
Because like a good example of a non-Star Trek show that really did need to have that fully planned out was like The Good Place, right? If they had have had The Good Place kind of keep going indefinitely, the quality would have gone downhill. It needed to have a start, a middle, of an end, and have that be the plan from day one. With Star Trek, especially the original series, like they didn't know if they were going to make it to episode 2.
Yeah, they did.
So-
They were
so
making
having
this
it-
saying, "I hope we get to do this next week." Also,
Yeah, and so having that as a chance for them to really explore these characters, and kind of they got that freedom to be a little bit more goofy and be a little bit more different and stuff too, because who knows.
right?
I think that really lends a lot of benefits to a show in that like world building, because it is a chance where they're able to come up with this much more deep and rich world than if it's as planned out. You know what I mean? And they can futz with things and realize, oh well, we can do it better, differently as they're going, and it's not set in stone. I really think that that's a definite benefit the way that they did this.
Absolutely. And it's,
For 50 years.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
God, it's
It's
old.
like
I love
comic
it.
books. It's like all the changes that have happened to these characters over the course of and not
Yeah.
really, because we're more familiar with the 90s characters, but I mean it does, it got built piece by piece and sometimes it's a weird little thing like, well, we can't afford to have a set with a spaceship that lands, so you guys have a teleporter, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of more things to write about because of that. So in the end of the episode, Evil Kirk pulls a fast mutiny that lasts about 5 minutes, and
Right, 'cause
they
they can't- Because they can't hold it together, because it being obviously stupid evil.
so Goblin,
All right, guys.
Goblin the scenery.
All right. Fly away. We've decided I decided we can't save Sulu, so we're
Yeah.
just going to let it
First of
freeze.
all, yes,
We're going to leave their bodies there. Fuck them.
they're dead. They're dead. Who cares? And of course they weren't. But that was Kirk's. He says those men can't be saved. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So evil, so Goblin mode, and it really and he's being so obvious about it.
The whole episode, he's obvious.
It's
There's no question.
amazingly evil. Evil
Yeah.
makeup,
And-
evil lighting, evil music.
Yeah. And this is there's a
Evil
whole
shirt.
thing too. There's a thing too, and maybe I'm going to spoil Mirror Mirror actually, because I'm thinking of Mirror Mirror.
Well,
Again.
you can.
You've
it's
seen
up-
us. We're all over the place. We spoil
it's up-
everything. It's
It's
fine.
up to you whether you would like to spoil. Yeah.
But there is one part where at the end of the episode, Kirk is talking to Spock, and Kirk is like, "So how did you spot like the evil versions of us when they were on board the Enterprise?" And he's like, and Spock was like, "Oh, it was easy, because they couldn't help themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They couldn't help but be crazy, over the top psychos." And Kirk, meanwhile, and his crewmates who were on the evil ship managed to conceal themselves for a long time, because they could pretend to be something they weren't. They could pretend to be barbarians and psychos, but the barbarians and psychos couldn't pretend to be civilized people.
Which on its own is an interesting thing to
Yeah.
kind of set as a rule, because
Yeah.
you'd think that the evil ones would be better at subterfuge, right?
Some depends on what kind of evil.
Depends, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what ends up being the case. But it feels like if you're playing an evil person, to me, subterfuge and lying like that is an evil act, right? Like it feels like an evil thing. So
I mean, fuck, that guy from the OA was able to pretend he was a Starfleet captain.
Jason Isaacs.
Yeah, for
so
years.
is he actually not
Oh,
a
no!
good character? Because I didn't know that.
Oh, I that's honestly like, and that's a modern show, so and I know you're watching it, so yeah, so he's from the Mirror Universe, sorry.
Okay.
And
cool.
I apologize to anyone listening to this.
Well, I guess that's the thing too. You say modern show. This is a '60s show, so the morality play of it is pretty
Right.
Yeah.
like on the nose. You know, it's
Yeah,
pretty,
yeah.
It's pretty
It's heavy-handed,
upfront.
yeah.
It is.
Evil is barbaric.
Yeah, it's old-fashioned.
Yep.
And it's heavy-handed. Yeah.
And so when they finally grab Evil Kirk and drag him to the teleporter, we have a real scene of a real close-up, real dramatically lit, real high contrast scene of him screaming that he wants to live, just like Tuvix screamed. But he can't. But they can't. They cannot live apart from each other. Sorry.
Yeah. Or you should say Tuvix screamed like Kirk did.
That's
Really.
what. Yeah, that's what I should. Yeah, they should have had Tuvix watching this episode before, when they came in to grab him to drag him to the teleporter.
Oh, I
Dude,
can't wait till when we get to Voyager and we can actually watch that episode. Oh, the Tuvix episode is just so good.
We're gonna watch it for bonus.
Yes.
We'll figure. I'll let everyone know what I'm getting. But I mean, it's very dramatic. It's really good. It's a creepy, horrible concept. I always like teleporter accident stories, and it's a good episode. Yeah.
It is. It's a very good episode.
You know what that makes me think of though too is have you seen Ghost in the Shell?
I've
are you
seen
talking
at
about
least-
the anime or the movie?
The original anime.
I've seen the original anime, but in the 90s.
I saw a movie of it that came out fairly recently.
With
But-
I think they had some remakes. I think.
I don't know which version of it. I saw something, but it's only like 10 years old. Maybe I don't think it's the Scarlett Johansson movie though.
Right.
It might be.
No, like I said, there was a remake of it, and like 10 years ago or so. It sounds about right. But
then the bunch of series also, like they've done a ton of shit now.
and the series are so good actually. Yeah. But what I was gonna say is at the end of the original movie,
Yeah.
the Major Kusanagi and what was the guy, the puppet master or the AI
Yeah. I don't know what the character was called.
decide to like merge their consciousnesses and
Right.
mind
Yeah.
to become a new person, and they choose to do that willingly. Like that makes me think of the Tuvix thing too.
Yeah.
But like I've definitely seen that in some science fiction. I'm trying to think of like what I think like in a Charles Strauss book, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, consciousness merging is a pretty rare concept. There's not a lot of stories about that.
This guy Charles Strauss wrote this series of books, and there was one book that was like just really mind blowing called Glass House, about this whole society that are basically infomorphs. They don't have bodies. They don't have unless they feel like it, unless they want to. Their minds can be rewritten and changed and are totally malleable to their technology. So identity is so slippery, and it's really
weird. Yeah,
it's
weird shit to think about.
and people are creating quote unquote children by like merging their minds together to form a new person, or splitting their minds up because they're like having a traumatic issue, so they're
Yeah.
like it's crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, again, this is a pulpy TV show, so it kind of touches on it. And even, I mean, I haven't seen that Tuvix episode. It sounds cool. It sounds cool as hell.
Yeah. Neat stuff to think about,
It is. And I mean, I guess
we should do the Tuvix episode soon so that Saint can watch it too.
yeah. But again,
we
I
could
guess
do that next Friday.
Yeah.
We're all going to be here next Friday.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I'd be down.
Great. Cool. That's the plan then.
That's the plan.
That's if I can do Friday, as we discussed earlier.
Right. We're
I'm
going
not
to figure
sure
out
yet.
what's happening. Yeah. But I mean, the next time the three of us can get together. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, maybe do that, and we actually might be able to. If you want, we can do the recording of the Futurama episode too, as a future bonus episode at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly what I'm proposing. Yeah.
Oh, both. So do both. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Do both?
I mean,
Tuvix and the Futurama episode, both of them filmed the same day. Like recording the same day,
Tuvix and the
together.
Futurama episode.
Yeah, the one I showed you the other day.
No, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. That
Yeah,
would be a
I
great.
figured get the 2 bonus episodes just done, and they're available for whenever we need them.
I love it.
Future episodes are only 20 minutes long anyway.
Yeah,
So
we could do it. We could do a couple of
Watch.
those. Well, I mean, yeah, let's do one and talk about it because I'll get other people's takes on it as well. Yeah. So, how did we feel overall? I'm going to give it a 7. That's my first 7. Maybe not, but man, I'll give it 7 point. I'm going to give it an 8. This was a fun one. That's definitely my first 8. Maybe
It is not your first 8.
Okay. All right, it's a 9. This is my first 9. Is that correct?
That is your first 9.
This
Yes,
is my,
well done.
I think it's great. I think it's fun. I think the brief philosophy is cool, and it's got a little dog in it, and the little dog is really cute, looking around on the transporter like, what the hell's going on?
even if they did kill the dog at the end.
Yeah, but it wasn't on purpose.
Yeah, no, that's
The
true.
dog died for science, which is very sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was instrumental in Kirk realizing that as a man with intelligence, he can embrace his beast and become one with it, which would terrify a small dog.
Right. He can achieve Golconda, the dog can't.
Correct.
Think, what's yours?
I'm not gonna give it a 9. I realized
That's just
I realized-
quite
yeah,
themselves.
I realized I gave this like Charlie X like an 8.5. I'm not sure if I like this less than Charlie.
You know
I'm
what?
not sure if I like
I
Charlie
think
X
that
but
the ratings are malleable. If I really wanted to be like, this is my first date, I'm allowed to change one of my previous ones. So you're allowed to say whatever you want.
I'll give this one an 8.5 again too.
All right.
I'm dinging it a couple points for the temperature.
Yeah,
The temperature is pretty silly.
yeah.
I'm
No, I'm in the same boat.
like you guys, like it didn't have to be a negative 120. You could just say
Right.
it's been negative 40. and
They
it's-
could have said it was 5 degrees.
and
And
it's
I
gonna
would have been
continue.
like, oh, fuck, they're going to die.
Is
Yeah.
5 degrees cold?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
It's
Canadian,
below freezing.
Canadian temperatures.
It's less than Canadian 0.
below freezing. Yeah, it would be
Okay.
it'd be like minus 10 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Negative 15 Celsius. Yeah, that is not a pleasant time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They could say it's shit. They could say it's freezing. It's at freezing.
Yeah.
It is at the freezing temperature of water or something like that, and we are down here with no shelter and only hot rocks.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's not like, okay, yeah, they're not going to die in 5 minutes, but we can't leave them down there for hours and hours.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's still a big thorn in my side on that episode too.
Although I guess maybe the time frame of that episode is like,
It could have taken, that whole episode could have taken place over the course of an hour, 2 hours.
an hour. Yeah.
Like, it really could have been almost real time.
It
Yeah,
feels
but
like
again, you're talking 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You're talking like at the warmest that they were reporting in at, it was less than 10 minutes for your skin to freeze.
I
Yeah, that's
know.
pretty bad.
No shelter at
Yeah,
all.
nothing. They got nothing.
They got
Like
those.
I don't care. Fucking hot rocks all you want. That's not how you're gonna keep warm. That pisses me off so much.
There's something I like about that 3-pronged phaser blast that he does. Did you notice what I'm talking about? To heat up the rocks. He
Yeah.
shoots I don't know what I like about that. I remember liking that when I was like 5 and being like, wow, 3-pronged
Yeah.
laser to heat up the rocks.
Yeah, he set the emitter to wide.
Right.
Yeah. In later shows, it is a wider beam that's still flat, right? Whereas they did multiple beams in this one.
Cool. A cool touch. Oh, first wide beam emitter. Man, first neck pinch and first wide beam in this one.
Yeah. So yeah, back to the earlier question. Where are you thinking an 8?
Yeah, like an 8.
solid. I'm not sure. I'm somewhere between like an 8, maybe a 7.5. I'm in that range, you know?
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think I'm going to give it the 7.5. The stupid rocks. I cannot get over this. The
Goddamn
rocks
hot rocks.
are just it's such a piss off. And the
But
fact
just-
that
oh my god!
because
I
I'm a
mean, imagine.
especially as a Canadian who has to like look up what the temperatures mean and then to find out as that stupid,
Yeah,
like
Honestly, it's probably the same even if you think of the temperature in Celsius instead of Fahrenheit. It's
no,
the same.
it's
because
that much worse.
It's like a stupid low temperature. It's
It
like
is.
this is the temperature that they should have died in inside like 10 minutes.
yeah.
Like
I mean,
5 or 10 minutes, they should have been dead.
below
with
negative
shelter,
40.
with no shelter and no
Yeah.
real heat. You know, exactly. They could have just been saying like, you know, they could have just been saying it's -10 or -20 for, you know, an hour or two, and that would have
Yeah.
been plenty. That would have
Yeah.
been plenty to kill you.
No,
And they were definitely down there an hour or two.
Yeah.
easily. The whole thing was just stupid, and
Yeah.
that specific thing is just
It's a forced, not a source of anxiety or conflict, but you know, a forced stakes. You know,
Yeah.
it's fake
Exactly.
stakes. Yeah,
It's fake stakes.
just like what I was saying about Dragon Ball
Yeah.
Z and
yeah.
Beam them down some
Naked
coats.
Now.
Beam them down some
Time.
beams and some.
But they couldn't because the teleporter, sorry, the transporter had been damaged. Remember?
Yeah.
So it wasn't working. That was the whole. And
they-
so
they-
I
And
don't-
then, can I
But
mention?
they said they beamed down some heaters, but the heaters broke because the heaters duplicated. Who cares? Who cares if your fucking like coats duplicate? Better. Now you have 2 coats instead of 1 coat.
it's
Is one coat an evil coat and one
Yeah,
coat
one coat's gonna have evil goose down.
goose down, yeah.
Wow. They did have coffee though at 60
Yeah.
degrees below zero.
No, I think that's-
They
I
were
think
trying
that's-
to make coffee, and it
No,
wasn't.
no, they weren't making coffee. He was joking. He was like, "Oh, this room service.
Oh,
Where's my coffee?"
oh, this coffee's
Joke.
taking too long. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was like, it's too cold to cook coffee down here at -60. Get me out of here. I'm freezing.
Yeah. No, but seriously, you know, beam down some building materials for them to make a shelter. I don't know. There's some non-technological means that they could have used to keep those Jews warm. Yeah, exactly. Forced stakes.
Yeah.
Were necessary.
And there's a little bit of that in this show.
They do
I
it
mean,
off and on, yeah.
Probably throughout. Yeah, probably up to the modern age.
It happens in shows. It happens all the time. There's some stakes that just don't make sense sometimes. You're like, why? But okay.
And in a lot of ways, this is an anthology show, you know, and they all are. They are all, well, you know, that might not be. I mean, that would be a stretch, actually, to call this an anthology. But you know what I'm saying. It's all these sort of contained little science fiction mysteries that are different flavors. And, boy, have any idea where I was going with that?
I'm gonna assume what you were trying to get at is as an episodic, you know, standalone stories show, because that's it. As much as it's got overarching themes and overarching
Yeah.
storylines, it is an episodic,
Yeah.
you know, monster of the week, so to speak.
This
type
one and a lot
program.
of them, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the formula of the entire thing. I don't think there's any series that's, at least from
No,
what I've
just-
seen, that's not.
Discovery is pretty, like, here's the story. This next episode is the continuation of that story. We're going to continue with, you know what I mean? Discovery
Yeah.
is less episodic, is what I'm saying. So that's why I started
Discovery
saying.
isn't Star Trek. The more I hear about this
Yeah,
show and
no,
from what
you're-
I've seen,
yeah.
it's not Star Trek. It's its own thing under the Star Trek flag.
It's
I thought what you were going to say actually is like, it's not just Star Trek is episodic, but like, I don't think they made any TV shows
oh
that weren't like that back in the 60s.
yeah,
I don't think they had any TV shows where it was like nowadays where it's like, okay, yeah, one season and it's just like, oh, this is the story. I mean,
I think they did with like Dynasty or
Oh,
Coronation Street, like some of
okay,
those types of
soap
shows.
opera.
But
soap operas. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I think that was the extent of it. I think the generic TV shows were either like the game shows. I don't think they really had a lot of talk shows back then. There was like one or two maybe. Like it was mostly, I think, this sort of stuff. Yeah. At least from the media that's survived and that I've heard about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who knows what was on TV in the 60s?
Yeah, no, but I think it was like a lot of serials. I think it was like a lot of episodic stuff. Yeah, the kind of idea that we have now of like a show like The Sopranos, or like not even like The Sopranos, but like, I don't know, like what's a network show that had a story? Like I watched Person of Interest, was like the last network show that I can remember really
with
watching.
Ben Linus.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring back The Good Place. The Good Place was very much a show that had overarching seasonal points that they were doing. It was, each season was very clearly, here's the start, here's the end, this is what the point of the season is. And I know I've mentioned it, it's one of my favorite shows. It's done so well because they had that carefully planned, this is what we're doing. I think Babylon 5, if I remember correctly, the newer one, with actually Chekhov's actor, Walter Koenig's on it. That was also a planned 5-season arc.
Yeah, that one had a plot line. I had a friend who he loved that show so much he rated it higher than Star Trek.
Yeah.
Himself.
And Supernatural too, actually. Early Supernatural, specifically the first 5 seasons, were a planned arc. Actually, if you've played World of Darkness games, Hunter, it is literally Hunter.
Yeah,
as a TV show.
Yeah.
It's just that once those 5 seasons were up, they made the mistake of continuing.
Oh yeah, that's a common mistake in this day and age.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's like a relatively new thing that's only been showing up in the last 20 and 30 years of TV.
Yeah.
You go back to TV in the 60s, that they weren't writing TV shows like that. At least not as far as I know. They might have had a couple outliers, but
a lot of it is, as has been mentioned, the stuff came out of vaudeville and out of theater into television, right? So it took them a long time to really make that change and get used to, no, we could actually do more and tell longer stories. And I think part of it too, especially back in like the 60s and stuff, they didn't really have recording equipment to be able to, so if you missed it, you were done. You never got to see it, right? So if you were missing an episode that had a major plot point, you were just SOL. Whereas like in the 80s, they had home VCRs that you could record stuff. So that, I think, was when this transition really started to be a thing, because you could record it if you were going to miss it and catch it later, so you weren't missing out.
Exactly. And that's what I said like last week too. My experience of watching like TNG is mostly watching reruns and watching syndication and just seeing episodes completely out of order, and then like the same episodes over and over again too, because like some episodes sucked and they were like, we're not going to rerun these because nobody wants to watch this one. Let's rerun this one where this thing happens or that thing happens. Let's rerun the series, the season finales a bunch of times, more often, because people want to watch this shit. So those are the episodes I've seen more of. And it was like, it was like you just watched what was on TV. Like, what's on TV? Like, it's at this time, you got to watch it, and they're going to show you which episode. It's like, there's no on demand. There was no, exactly. And I think, you're right. That's exactly the reason why they didn't have TV shows like that had a plot, where it's like, if you miss an episode, you have no fucking clue what's happening in the next episode.
And I think we've seen as well that same technological impact on how television is produced now. Because if you watch how TV shows are done from like the 80s and 90s versus in the last, say, 10 years since the rise of streaming, right? TV shows nowadays are done with the expectation that you're going to sit down and watch it all in a day anyway. So they don't... They make them where they've got more of those seasonal arcs versus episodic arcs, but also have like the cliffhangers are made so that you don't turn off the show a lot more versus come back next week. Yep. They don't do the last time kind of stuff as much. Like, even I'm rewatching through Grimm, which was an early, I think it was like 2014. And every episode's got like, hey, last time on Grimm, and in case you've missed it, because here I'm in season 5, and if this is a once a week show, then I haven't watched it for 5 years. Like, I don't know what happened in season 1 if they're bringing it up again, right? Whereas that's not how TV shows are being made. They're being made with the expectation that you're sitting down and you're just watching all of it and consuming it quickly in one sitting. Like there's a very, and it's a very obvious change if you're looking for it. You know what I mean? Like TV.
Although some of the premium streaming, especially for like their really big titles, are pulling back onto that sort of like one.
Disney is
episode
awful
release
for
a
it.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, Disney does that. I think HBO does that.
I love it. I love it when a show does that. I'm so in favor of it. I love having a show to watch on a day of the week. It's why I do the whole thing. This whole thing.
Benefits too, but like if you want, I think I'd rather if they just gave the whole season, and then if you want to watch it episodically, you can. Just because I am a person who I like to be able to put it on and just have it play.
You've
a lot,
got me.
you know?
I just hope I just want everyone else to be punished. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but yeah.
No worries. No.
But that is why. That's why I
I
think shows should be like that, because everyone else should.
Yeah, no, I just think that they're doing it the way that they're doing it with the full season, like the full season release, and then just watch it when you watch it. And if you want to do it like one episode a week, you could do that. If you want to do like what I do, then you can do that too. You know, instead of, and like what it's doing for me is it's making me not want to watch shows until they're fully released.
Well, it's all PR.
Oh, yeah,
and it's all about keeping the show in the public attention for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
You know, say the 2-3 months it takes to release 8-9 episodes, plus making people come back repeatedly to the platform over a period of time, because they know that if you sit down and you watch all of it in one binge, you'll talk about it a little bit with your friends, and then you'll forget about it and move on to the next thing. But if you have to watch one episode a week, if you have a social group that talks about it, you feel compelled to watch it.
Yep.
So that you can talk about it with them. Or if you care a lot about spoilers, you feel compelled to watch it so that the fucking internet doesn't spoil it for you. Like, you know?
Yep.
And it creates that whole sort of like cycle. It's you know, and I understand exactly why you hate it too, Toronto, because you recognize that that's a form of manipulation.
It is 100%.
That these media companies are trying to do. And recognizing that you're being manipulated, but still willing to be caught up in it because it is a kind of a fun social experience is one thing, and I totally see that too, Kuya.
Yeah.
But also, sometimes it's just I don't want to deal with that shit. I don't want to deal with the feeling of FOMO of like, oh, what if this gets spoiled? You know, what if people are talking about this and I haven't seen it? I don't know. I've kind of started to let that go at a certain point now. Like, you know,
it was one of the Marvel shows or movies. I can't remember which one specifically at this point that it came out, and it was so pervasively everywhere. Like, no one was caring about spoilers. Like, the second it came out, I was running into videos of people being like, hey, here's the entire movie synopsis right there, or the entire show synopsis right there, like within an hour of it being out.
Yeah.
And that's where I have the issue is like, if you're going to do it week by week like that, then it's months of me being inundated with all of this garbage that I can't avoid. And so I'm forced to watch it. And like, I don't have... I know that part of it back in the day was like water cooler conversations where like you go to work, you talk about it. I don't have that. Even with the last job I had, this wasn't a thing. So it just becomes this big, annoying, frustrating thing where I'm stuck of trying to avoid the internet for 2-3 months. So I don't like...
You are not the target market for the slow release.
Yeah.
No, I'm really not. I am very much a person, give me the whole thing at once. Let me watch it at my own pace. If I want to watch it right away, I can. If I want to hold off on it for whatever reason, I can. Like, I just give it to me so I can go with it how I want.
Yeah, I hear you. Certain shows I just want to watch by myself, and I don't really care about talking to other people about it. But other shows, I kind of do want to talk to other people about it a whole bunch and have that, like the House of the Dragon, like the Game of Thrones shows.
Yeah.
I kind of like the Saga releases because I like talking about it and speculating with people and being like, oh, you know, and as someone who like reads the books, you kind of know what's coming, but kind of don't, and kind of, you know, and it's fun having those conversations because I love that fucking universe so much.
Well, I mean, like, I kind of did that with Only Murders in the Building, but it's still, I don't know, it doesn't hold.
I hear you. No, it's yeah, no, but I think it's just my own media consumption habits. Is I if I sit down with some free time and I want to consume some media, I'm much more likely to just like play some video games than like watch a movie or watch a TV show or read a book.
Yeah, and we've made it as part of our routine now, where because like I like television, it's not my be all and end all, and I am a gamer. He's more heavily into gaming and could live without ever watching TV in his entire life. And I really do enjoy being able to sit down for like an hour at night every night as part of our bedtime routine right before bed and just watch an episode of something and then go to bed after that.
I hear you. My wife watches like no TV at all, so she has like no interest in TV for the most part. So that's the other thing too, is when she does want to watch TV for the most part, like we have very different tastes about what we want to watch too, and it's fine. But we don't watch TV together either. And I know a lot of couples do spend some like social time together, like watching TV, you know.
Yeah, it depends on the couple. Like we basically have gotten into like we'll find a show that he doesn't mind, and we'll watch that together until it's done, and then that's it. Like right now, again, it's Lower Decks just got rewatched through. I think we've rewatched through all of Bluey a couple times at this point. So.
Yeah, I think the last thing that we watched through together was Breaking Bad, actually, which was crazy because I had Breaking Bad I had torrented and downloaded all of the episodes of Breaking Bad. I wanted to watch it, but I hadn't gotten into it yet. And I watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and then I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I was out for a night. I was at like a vampire game. This is when I actually used to play vampire in person with people.
Crazy.
So I was out for the night, and I got home like after midnight, and woke up the next morning, and my wife was like, I watched like 8 episodes of Breaking Bad in a row, and I was like, what the hell? You watched more than me now? It wasn't like 8 episodes. She watched like 4 or 5 episodes. She was just like, I was so gripping. I was like, this does not sound like your kind of show. And but wow. And then we ended up watching the whole rest of it together. But yeah, that isn't normally the kind of thing she would watch at all, but it was just, Breaking Bad is a good show. So
yeah, we couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
I know it's a very like a lot of people love it, but we've tried it and it just didn't grab us.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody's got different tastes.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Still trying to get Locke to come to these watches of TOS. I think he has something. He has something against William Shatner. He doesn't.
The hesitation is real. I really understand the hesitation.
You gotta watch like an episode like this with Shatner just chewing that scenery.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
Everything about
it. It's so bad and so good.
I still friggin' love it. Yeah.
Performance out of Shatner in this one. Like I really think this is a good episode. I think it's a great performance out of him.
I think it's one of the best pieces of media with him in it. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think this might be some of the best acting I've ever seen out of Shatner. It's this specific
like a goblin.
Yeah. Well, not just acting like a goblin, him acting as like the hesitant, anxious version of himself too.
Yeah, no, he knocks it out of the park in all respects in this episode. And he really does.
Yeah. And like
good job, Shatner.
the whole like he is talking like
that doesn't come until later really.
It's really overblown. Like
well, also it is. Yeah, and it is.
Like you definitely see little bits of that kind of pause here and there sometimes in his speech, but it's it's an exaggeration.
It is.
And he makes it more of an exaggeration, almost to the point of like parodying himself and like in later movies and stuff, for sure.
In the movies, which
it's still early here,
it really
so
becomes more of a as it's
make it seem,
we'll make it seem, And you've got Leonard Nimoy, and
I love him.
What's his face? I was about to say Forrest Whitaker.
DeForest Kelly.
Forrest Whitaker is here,
DeForest Kelly. I was like, his name is Forrest something. It's not Forrest. It's DeForest.
His first name is DeForest.
Yep.
Like the process of removing the
deforestation. Yeah, deforest.
Weird.
Yeah, I think it was a family name or something.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Was it a stage name or?
I mean,
that's his birth. I think it was his birth name.
It was his real name.
Wacky.
I think so. I saw something recently about it. I have been doing a lot of random Star Trek reading in general over the last, like, whenever we started this till now. Like, I've been reading so much Star Trek related content in general.
Yeah.
Jackson DeForest Kelly. It's his middle name.
That's what it was. Okay, thank you.
But,
I would 100% use the transporter. I know.
Yeah.
Unlike I think 90% of the modern people
Yeah,
in this world,
everyone
I
is
think
sure that it'll kill them now.
it's sure that it's just dying and a clone of you is made. I'm down. I'm cool
Nope.
with it.
Try it out.
Nope. Nope.
I am desperately oppressed by time and space and having to fucking take time to get from one part of the world to another part. Fuck that.
Look. It has got to be like dire emergency before I will go in a transporter. Just
Not a
nope.
chance.
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
All right.
What,
I'm gonna leave you guys with that. I have no care for my own for the preservation of my own consciousness and self. I don't think they truly exist, so it doesn't matter.
that's really, I mean, honestly, that's... All right. Thank you for listening to The Least Ready Room. Yeah, that was our coverage of the Broadcast Order, Episode 5 of the original series of Star Trek from 1966. The question of the week is, even though there are surprisingly few pet animals or animals at all that appear on Star Trek, what Star Trek animal or creature would you like to have as a pet? Raven said, "Can you spay a tribble?" which is what Saint and Chris also said. And yeah, we're gonna allow that if that's what you want. We can have a spayed tribble. Atheist Man said Captain Kirk, and that's very funny. Yeah, Locke says, if I had the land to support it, a Tolarian to stay in. In my current place, a Cardassian Mompat. Well, I didn't look up what the Mompat looks like, but well, I've just looked it up, and the Wompat is a small mammal that is, those type of things do seem to make good pets. I guess that Jill Ora, Gul Madred's daughter, kept a pet wompat and would take it with her when she went to visit her father at work. Gul Madred, I don't, Is that the guy with the 4 lights? Anyway, yeah. So the Testayan is mentioned in that episode with, is his name Jono or something, or Jobo or Gobo? Where there's a human raised by Talarians and he broke his ribs riding his Testayan. But yeah, that led to a rabbit hole where we looked up some fan-made TTRPG that considers, but that the Testayans in, you know what, who cares? That was another thing. The word Testayan led to a whole rabbit hole of some other fan-made stuff. Weebs said this little buddy, and it's a picture of the unicorn dog, which, yeah, the best pet is obviously Spot, but if we're going to go for a race, I definitely like the unicorn dog. I mean, I like the Targ, as I mentioned. Anyway, yeah, the question of the week coming up is, what is your favorite transporter accident/incident? Or, if there were 2 Star Trek characters you would like to see combined, which ones would be fun? Okay, yeah, we will be having that discussion in Discord. I will read some of the answers in next week's episode, which will be about Tuvix. Other than that, yeah. Other than that, peace be with you. Live long and prosper. Some other Star Trek type slogan. I mean, peace be with you isn't really Star Trek. Live long and, you know what, goodbye.